So what is up, guys? This is Nick here from Everything Tech, and welcome to this iPhone 5 versus Samsung Galaxy J3 video comparison. Now, if you watch the channel, frequently, you would have noticed that I just dropped the iPhone 5S versus the Samsung Galaxy J3 last week, and there was mixed reviews. A lot of people were saying I'd go with the J3, where a lot of people were saying I'd go with the 5S. It's a much more quality phone. Now, in my experience, the 5S might feel more premium, but the J3 performed a bit better than the 5S, as based on my experience. You might have a different experience, but if you know how to optimize Android, lower the animations, and just get it cleaned up, it will run faster than the 5S. You just got to know how to work with it. Okay, but this one is the 5 comparison. So if I go into eBay here and you type in iPhone 5, you can see that iPhone 5 is still, let me look on the eBays. You can see 134, 179. Well, that's 5S. 120. Now that's about the same price I paid for this J3. So I think this is a fair comparison in terms of the price point. Snapdragon 400 CPU here on the J3, as well as 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. That's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 series, 1.19 gigahertz on the clock speed. That's a Cortex A53. So that's 4 lower powered cores. Now, the iPhone 5 has the whole Apple A6 chipset with 1 gigabyte of RAM. This was the 32-bit CPU, probably the most optimized 32-bit CPU they made until they came out with the 5S's 64-bit CPU, which was a huge leap in performance. But let's go ahead and go back and close everything out here, and let's do a speed test. I'm not going to do a boot up test because the J3 boots up about 30 seconds faster than the iPhone 5, and it's not even worth doing here. So let's go ahead and do a applications test to see how close they are. Now, before we do that, I want to do one thing before we do that. Let's go confirm the Android version and the whole iOS version here. So the latest 10.1.1, we're still waiting for 10.2, but 10.1.1 here for the iPhone 5 here. Not sure if you could see that, but it's 10.1.1. And I have the Boost Mobile J3, so I'm on Android 5.1.1 Lollipop here for this J3. Your J3 might be on 6.0. Let us know down below which J3 model you have and if it's on Marshmallow or not. Let's close out that last application I just opened here, and let's get into the speed test of these devices. So let's go with the clock, and you could see that the clock did open about the same. Let's go home. Let's go into the calendar on both devices. You can see the J3 open quicker there. Let's come home. Looks like the J3 does come home quicker. Let's go into calculator, and it looked like the J3. Let's come home here, but the iPhone 5 is performing pretty well next to it. The iPhone 5 just beat the J3 going into the camera section of this device. And let's see if the iPhone 5 would win on the Play Store versus the App Store. And I think I missed the App Store there. Not a fair test. Let me go back and close out the App Store and do that one more time. But I do think the Play Store is going to win this one. Let's go into both. Once again, it looks like I missed that on the iPhone 5. Come on, let's get it, boys. Let's go. Okay. Let's see what happens there. So the J3 did win there on terms of that whole Play Store. Let's come home here and let's go into settings. And it looked like the J3 won that one. Let's come home here. iPhone 5 sliding around a little bit over there. Let's go into context. You could see that the J3 did win on the phone dialer as well. Let's go into YouTube here. And it looks like J3 and then the iPhone 5. So the J3 does seem to be performing a bit faster as expected. J3, iPhone 5, but man, do you guys see how close that iPhone 5 is for being such an old phone to this Samsung Galaxy J3? Let's go into Twitter here. So that just goes to show that the iPhone 5 did perform pretty well for its age. The J3 just smoked it on Twitter here. Let's come back home. Let's go into Uber here on both of these devices here. The iPhone 5 versus the Samsung Galaxy J3. Looks like the iPhone 5 won this speed test right here. Let's go home. Let's go into weather on both devices in 3, 2, 1, let's go. And you could see the iPhone 5 did lose that test to the Samsung Galaxy J3. Let's come back home. Let's go into tempo run on both. Actually, those are different tempo runs, so that test is not going to count. Let's go into the Safari browser and the Samsung browser here. And let's go to Yahoo on both of these devices. Yahoo.com here. Let's go to yahoo.com here. Let's go in 3, 2, 1, let's go. And you could see J3 a little bit quicker on the browsing speed there, but Safari might be a little bit smoother than the Samsung browser, even though it's slower, but it's extremely slower here. We're still waiting on the iPhone 5. We're still waiting. So I think pretty much this test has been showing that the iPhone 5 is definitely a slower phone than the Galaxy J3, which is to be expected. But if you're asking yourself the question, I only got a little bit of cash, I'm trying to buy one of these cheaper devices, should I go with the older iPhone 5 or the Samsung Galaxy J3? I honestly would recommend you go with the J3. Now the 5S is a bit of a closer test than this one, but I do highly recommend that you go with the Samsung Galaxy J3 in this comparison. But you could see in terms of the whole multitasking, switching and things like that, very similar until you actually go into the applications themselves. But overall, I would say that the Galaxy J3 is the better performer here. You've seen the iPhone 5 just shut me up there on the clock opening speed right there. Let me go into the phone dialer on both, and you can see iPhone 5 did open that phone dialer first as well. So let's go and do another one. Let's do internet. You can see iPhone 5. So iPhone 5 is not bad on the multitasking, to be honest here. But overall, I'm telling you that the J3 does open apps faster than the iPhone 5, although the multitasking is looking a bit better on the iPhone 5. But yeah, I don't want to make this comparison too long. If you got the question, should I buy an iPhone 5 or a Galaxy J3? They're both similar price points. I'd say go with the J3. I mean, I don't think neither one of these phones are going to be phones you're going to stick with for years. But if you're strapped for cash right now, and this is the comparison you're doing, check out the J3 over the iPhone 5 in my personal experience. Now, this is not saying that it's a better phone overall. You know, everyone's got their own subjective opinions and based on their experiences. But for someone who uses phones and smartphones all the time, I could tell you this is going to be the better buy as of the recording of this video, November 2016. Now, let me know your guys' thoughts. Would you pick up the iPhone 5 or the Samsung Galaxy J3? Which one is better in your opinion? Drop it down below. Let's chat about that. And if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe and all that good shit. And hit the thumbs up button and peace.
No.